Okay, so sorry about that. All right. So again, welcome to Edpuzzle 101. My name is Galay Koenig, and I am a TOSA here in ILE. And joining me today is Jessie Grabata. Jessie, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, all. Good afternoon. I'm Jessie. I am a staff developer here in ILE, just 2 desks down from Glay. I'm going to be monitoring chat, so if you guys have any questions, let me know. I'm happy to respond, or I can bring it to Glay's attention and we can share it as a whole group.
Very good. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with an icebreaker. And what we want to do is let you experience Edpuzzle, what it's like for your students and what it would be like for you. So if you have made your way to our Google Classroom, if you go under Edpuzzle 101, you will see the icebreaker. If you want to go ahead and click to follow that link. So let's go ahead and take a look at our agenda for today. And we're going to go ahead and start by making some connections to 21st century learning and the SAMR model, as well as look at our objectives. We'll define what Edpuzzle is, and we'll take a look at a teacher experience as well as a student experience, and then we'll go ahead and finalize with some additional connections. So when we take a look at our 21st century skills as defined by our Guide for Instructional Direction, we want our students to critically think, we want them to communicate effectively and to solve problems creatively. And so this is a powerful tool because we're going to show you how our kids are able to do the critical thinking, communicate with each other, and solve the problems by using our Edpuzzle. The connections to our SAMR model are great because by using this technological tool with intention, we are able to create thoughtful lesson plans that provide high quality, effective instruction while meeting student needs and reviewing knowledge, and teaching practices prior to integrating appropriate technology. So our objectives for today, we're going to learn how and when to use Edpuzzle. We're going to experience it as a student, and we're also going to experience it as a teacher. Here's a quick video that'll explain to you exactly what Edpuzzle is.
Video lessons in minutes? Edpuzzle is your missing piece. With Edpuzzle, you can choose from the millions of videos available from YouTube, National Geographic, TED Talks, Khan Academy, and more. You can also reuse ready-to-go video lessons made by other teachers or upload your very own teaching video. Then, use Edpuzzle's video editor to create your perfect lesson. Embed your own questions to check your students' understanding, cut sections to show your students only the most important parts of the video, and even record voiceover so you can explain concepts in your own words. Once you've finished, you can assign it to your students in just one click and prevent skipping to make sure your students don't miss a thing. When you want to check in on your students' progress, use Edpuzzle's hassle-free analytics to get all the information you need. See who still needs to watch the video, what your students responded, and their total scores. So remember, with Edpuzzle's free platform, you can make any video your lesson.
So the magic behind Edpuzzle is great because it allows you to gather videos that have already been created. YouTube is one of the main resources, as well as create your own. So what you can then do is embed questions that is self-paced, or you can do it live with your students. And it allows you to get analytics and scores right there immediately. So if you're doing a lesson with your students and you want to gauge the temperature of the room to see how they're progressing, this is a great way to take a look at it. And the analytics are right there for you. So let's take a look at when to use Edpuzzle and how to use Edpuzzle. So you can use Edpuzzle in class. You can do it live, or you can give it to them independently. You can send it as homework. You could use it as a test review. As I stated before, it could be used independently, or it can be done live with your students in class. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to start by giving you guys a student experience. And with Edpuzzle, we encourage you guys to use Google Classroom as we are today, because we have found it's actually the easiest way for us to push out these lessons to the students. So what they'll do is they'll access it through the Google Classroom, just like you guys did today. And you can assign it a topic and then give the lessons there. So once again, we're going to take a look at other ways that you can access a lesson. Next slide, Jesse. Thank you. So if you don't, for some reason, have a Google Classroom at this time, you are able to go directly to the Edpuzzle site and create your own classroom within there, and then create something that's called an open class, and the students can access it this way. This is a little bit harder. So for those of you that are not using Google Classroom, we will be having an Edpuzzle 201 that will go over this a little bit more in depth. But for today's purposes, we are going to continue using Google Classroom. So the great thing as a student is when this lesson is provided to you, if it is a teaching piece and the students get stuck or need clarification, they are able to go back and rewatch. So it's a great option and a great feature that's in there. In addition to that, as the video is progressing, they're able to see their progress in their work. And we don't want the students to get discouraged, because when you include a open-ended question, it allows the teachers to respond later, but they won't get their results right then and there. However, with the multiple choice questions, they will. So just like we did a few minutes ago, we're going to go ahead and go back to the Google Classroom, and we're going to interact this way. And once we are finished, we're going to take a look on what it's like for us to do it as a teacher. So for this lesson, we're going to go ahead and take a look at this right here as a reference. Okay, so Jesse's going to go ahead and Robert will help you get that figured out. Okay, from a teacher's perspective now, let's go ahead and take a look at the advantages of our Edpuzzle. So we'll go ahead and start, and if you haven't already created an account with Edpuzzle, please go ahead and follow that link, and we'll go ahead and get you signed up in another tab. Give you guys a couple minutes to go ahead and do that. No, please do.
When I went through and I was doing the birds with the inference, it says join open class, right? That was the other way that you could assign to your students. In order to do your own personal account, you'll have to leave the class and then re-log in with your riversideunified.org email. Just a heads up. So if you see a button in the top right that says something like leave class or leave open class, yes, go ahead and click that so you can move on to this teacher portion.
Okay, so hopefully everyone has had the opportunity to go ahead and get themselves an account logged in. So when we take a look at this by setting up your classroom, we're going to go ahead and start at the top here, and it asks you to select the class that you want to use. And most of us should be using the Google Classroom platform, so we'll go ahead and click that right here. And then when you get over, it allows you to select the multiple, oh, sorry, go back one, Jesse. It allows you to select if you want all of your classes imported or just a single one. Okay. I'm sorry, say that again. Okay, we're going to go ahead and live demo this for you right now so you guys can see that. And again, if you guys have any questions at any time, please either enter it into the chat or go ahead and unmute yourselves. Very good. So as you can see from that experience, once you sign in, it asks you to select the grade level that you're teaching from. It's asking you to select the subject. If you want to have access to any of it, you can just click at the very top where it said general education, and that gives you access to everything. It's not so specified. But later on, when you are searching in the Discovery Library for content, then it'll also give you the option to narrow down even more. So now that we have had a moment or two to select our classes that we want imported, let's go ahead and take a look at how we begin to search for Edpuzzles. So up in the top corners, you can see where it says Discover there. And then there's an option where it says Community, it says My Network, and it says YouTube. Community relates to what section you selected. So if you're a math teacher that's a 7th grade, and when you initially selected it, this is the community that you would be in. My Network references other teachers within our USD that have created accounts or created Edpuzzles. And then of course there is the YouTube option there as well. You can narrow down, like I had mentioned before, where it says subject matters there. You can narrow down by grade level, country, and obviously the source. So if you only wanted to select from YouTube, you can click on that drop down menu and just select YouTube videos only. And then over to the left, you can see where, oh, sorry, Jesse, go back one second, thank you. Over on the left-hand side, you can see where it says My Content, and this is where anything that you have saved or created will be found. And then the network is also, again, referenced to RUSD, and then it lists the classes that you currently have. So we'll go ahead and take a moment and allow you guys to browse the Discovery Library. Once you come across a lesson that you like or a video that you like that might be valuable, you're going to click at the top and you are going to click on Copy. And then that will automatically put it into your content folder. So go ahead and take a couple of minutes to find something that you might find valuable or something that you can work with, and then we'll go step by step on how to make it your own. So Amanda, I saw your question about selecting the subject matter. Actually, so when you're searching in the Discovery Library, that's where you have the option to switch there. So in that drop-down section on the previous slide, Jesse, do you mind going back one? I can show you. So right here, even if you have selected a specific topic and you want to switch it up, that's where you will change it if you are searching for something different. I hope that answers your question. So hopefully all of you have had a chance to find at least one video that you can grab, and we can kind of go through a few steps there. Once you opened up the video across the top, you should have seen the option to assign, edit, share, preview, or make it public. So once you select a video and you want to click on edit, and that's what puts it into your My Content area. Then once you open that up, you have the ability to edit and to assign the lessons. So the great thing within that is you are able to add different types of questions for your students to engage through. So as you see on the photo here on the side, there are a ton of multiple choice questions, and it shows you the section or the second at which that multiple choice question occurs. And the students are not allowed to progress through the video unless they answer the question. Okay, so in the options, you have the option to cut your video, you can do a voiceover, and you can add the different types of questions. The great thing about this is that there are many that are already out there that you may not need to edit, that you can just say, you know what, I really like what's already here, and you can take that content and just assign it directly to your classroom. If you want to cut the video, that will be covered in Edpuzzle 201 with Tina next week. You also have the ability to import or do a voiceover on an existing video, which Tina is also going to cover for you guys next week in 201. So please feel free to come back for that. But you have you do have options for embedding different types of questions. The students will get the answer immediately, as you guys saw in the samples, to the multiple choice questions, and it'll tell them how they're doing. And then it gives you, if you choose to do an open-ended question for them later on, it allows you as a teacher to take more time to complete the look over the responses and provide it a grade. So that is another great advantage to using Edpuzzle. Okay, so as you can see, we found the video, we made a copy of it, and then you went ahead and selected edit. I think I got ahead of my slides, sorry about that. So after you've made changes to the video that you want, you will click the blue finish button up at the top right-hand corner, and then it will allow you to assign it to your Google Classrooms right then and there. And here, the 3 different types of questions that you can add are the multiple choice questions, an open-ended question, or you can just leave a note for your students. Another great thing about Edpuzzle that has just actually rolled out is they are allowed to respond with audio. And so now there is a little microphone at the bottom that allows the students to give you an oral response instead of having to type. So it's a great scaffolding piece as well. Okay, so assigning the lesson, you just go ahead and click on assign and select the classes that you want. Something that I do want to point out that's great about this is, just like in our regular Google Classroom, you can create it as part of the calendar. So if you're working on the weekends or later in the afternoon and you want to go ahead and create a timing calendar, you can go ahead and set up when you want that to be made available to your students. You can toggle on and off the ability to skip questions. So if you don't want your students to you want them to be able to skip the questions, you can toggle that off here. Another great thing is it offers closed captionings, which is another great scaffolding piece. And then here's the option where you would select it to put it on your Google Classroom. Okay, so the great thing, this is one of the most empowering pieces about Edpuzzle, is that they can't skip, so they have to complete the work. And if you are doing a live demo with your students, you can actually see who's actually doing the work and who isn't. So that is another great feature that Tina will go over in Edpuzzle 201 next week. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and give you guys about 10 minutes to play and take a look at anything that you guys want to do, save some video. And if you have questions, please add them in the chat, or you can unmute yourself, anything you want. So go ahead and take those 10 minutes to explore Edpuzzle. Okay, so hopefully all of you guys had a moment to find a few videos that might be valuable in your classroom. Really quick, I wanted to make sure that you guys got the answer to a couple of questions that came up in the chat while we were working through. In case you didn't see this, one of the great questions that came in was asking if students had the ability to fast forward through the videos. And as long as you have that feature where the toggle says they can't skip, it also prevents them from fast forwarding through the videos as well. So as long as you have that option selected, they cannot. And then many of you also mentioned loving the ability to use the closed captioning, and I agree, it's a great feature that they've embedded for you as well. Are there any other questions that you guys have now that you've had the opportunity to experience it yourself? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take a moment, and I wanted to show you guys what it looks like from the teacher's side when you are looking at what your students are experiencing. So you saw from the student's perspective, and now let me show you what you see when you are the teacher, when you're taking a look at the analytics. I'm doing kind of like a little plug here for Tina for 201 if you want to come back and see that next week. So let me go ahead and share this tab with you. Okay, so sorry about that. So from the teacher side, you can see this is what it looks like. This is the analytics page. So here is the video that I had done a while ago on oxymorons. And this is where if I was going to push this out into live mode with my students, it's right here next to the video. So you would select live mode and then it would go to your students directly right there. Or this is where you have the option to share the assignment. This was something that I did as a live version. And so my students here, I only have 3 in there, and they were answering the questions. But as you can see, it gives me these details based off of these 3 questions, how the students performed. And so when you're working in a live mode or your students are working independently, you get basically a bar that shows their progression so that you can see A, who's working, or B, who's just sitting there and you might need to give them that tap on the shoulder. But it also lets you see, like, if students are struggling with a particular question within your quiz, that might be an opportunity for you to stop right then and there and make some adjustments to your learning as well. So this is just a shameless plug for Tina for next week, and she's actually going to go over this in much more detail. But I did also want to give you the perspective from the other side to see the value of assigning this to your students to give you these analytics. And it will grade it for you. If your Edpuzzle is 100% a multiple choice option, you will get that grade right then and there. So that's another great feature as well. So let's see, Jesse, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing the screen, or maybe I should ask, are there any questions now that you have the opportunity to see this screen? Yeah, I see several of you are mentioning that the live mode is great. Okay, go ahead and open up.
Quick question.
Yes, please go right ahead.
So I see on the screen that you could use this to help kind of keep students on track. How would you be able to kind of use it to influence your data?
Okay, that's a great question. So if you are using, you could use this as a testing feature, but you could also use it as a review. So if you had a test coming up, let's say, and you wanted to see where your kids are at, which can help you adjust your teaching until the actual assessment comes, or you could actually create it as an assessment. And again, Tina will go over that with you in 201, and she will actually show you how you can create your own video, which would allow you to have your own individualized assessment. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Perfect. Anyone else? I see several of you mentioning in the chat that the live mode feature is a great option, and I agree. It is one of the great things that they actually added not too long ago. It's been about a month and a half, so it's a great new feature that they have added. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing this screen, and we'll go back, Jesse, to the main slide, and we'll go ahead and get you guys wrapped up. If you have any final questions, please go ahead and feel free to unmute yourself or again, add them into the chat box. But again, I thank you for your time and for being here, and sorry for the hiccups that we have. We all love technology, don't we? It's great. Okay. All right, Jesse, we'll go ahead and in an effort of time to just go ahead and skip through this here. Okay, so again, thank you so much for joining us, and we need you guys to please confirm your attendance in Kickup. So if you follow the link on the slide deck, it's there. Jesse is also adding it into the chat as well. And then this is the code that you will need, the 9A7KNW, that will confirm your attendance as well. So if you could please go ahead and do that and give us any feedback, we would greatly appreciate it. And again, we value your time and we appreciate it. So we're going to go ahead and make sure you guys get that time card link in the chat box as well.